I continue to work by introducing the markers tab. Before we can work with markers, we have to create markers. I'm using Calculate Offsets command from Data tab. I choose Create Markers from Offsets option. OK, and I'm making the markers for the surface. I turned off the render view. I close the sections, waterlines, and edges that appear on the screen by pressing the box. Then we have to come to 2D view. I'm coming to the top view. When you use the markers and add markers commands, it adds a marker to location you selected. Then you can change or edit the station index or coordinates of this marker. I'm deleting this marker. I'm come to the Markers tab again. The Delete Marker command deletes the markers you have selected. I selected any marker. I used the Delete Marker command and it deleted the marker I had selected. I press Ctrl Z keys. Then I select several markers together. I use the markers and delete duplicate markers command. When you use this command, you must enter a tolerance value here. You can think of this value as the distance between markers. If you set this value to 1 meter, it will delete all the access markers at 1 meter intervals. I choose OK, it deleted 9 markers because 1 meter is a big value. I press Ctrl Z keys again. Markers and generate markers from Developable Surfaces command. You have to come to the perspective view to use it. Coming to render view. By double-clicking on any surface or right-clicking and selecting Properties, you should mark the surfaces as developable. Then I choose OK. Now I'm closing the render view again. Sections appear in the background. I select markers and generate markers from developable surfaces. Assign markers to identify surfaces you mark as a developable. This is the purpose of this command. Create markers to define the surface you have specified. Add these markers across the surface. If you check the first box, it will create a marker across the surface. If you select where ruling lines intersect waterlines, it will add markers on the surface in the direction of the waterlines. The one below option will add markers on the surface in the direction of the bottom. If you choose equally at intervals along ruling line option, you can specify how many lines will be on the surface. That is, how many markers lines should be added on the surface in the direction I point with the mouse. You can set the number here. I want to write 3 in this option. I will not mark the second and third boxes. OK. Transfer the markers on the developable surface we selected. Since we entered this option as 3, it will create 3 rows in the transverse direction. Now I undo it by pressing Ctrl Z. Next, I come to the Markers tab. Move selected markers. If you select the markers and use the Move option, you must enter the coordinates to which position you want to move. Cancel. If you select the Rotate Selected Markers option, the selected markers can be rotated. Which axis do you want to rotate? With roll, pitch, or any of these? There are 6 axes here. Longitudinal location, transverse location, vertical location, you can also change them here. Let's define a center line, that is all 0 points are the center line. Then let's come here. From the direction whose center lines are 0, which way, how much, you must enter here. This is how logic works. Let's rotate 90 degrees on the 0 coordinates. I write 90, 90 and 90. OK. It moved 90 degrees from the 0 direction, actually rotated. I press Ctrl Z keys, I come to the Marker tab. Generate Design Grid from Markers command are now in 2D, so each on a single section. We need to define it to make serve. So let's look at the markers from the top view. We can define markers as sections to make serve. If you do this, markers command or generate surface command will work better. I'm using to comment markers and generate design grid from markers. In the window that opens, you must specify an axis. If you select generate station from marker plane, it will assign imaginary sections in the direction of sections. These imaginary sections are actually design grid sections. Design grid also takes sections, and in this way, MakeSurf defines the form within itself. Like data and the design grid command, you can think of them as sections that are invisible and undefined but added to the background. From the top view, generate stations from markers plane creates a grid in the direction of sections only. If you use the generate buttocks from markers plane option below, will create grids in the direction of buttock. If you use the generate borderlines from markers plane option below, it will form a grid in the baseline line deck direction. I recommend that you enter as small values as possible in the marker plane separation tolerance section and create your grid in this way. This is because if we are going to create buttock grid, the markers may not continue in the same direction. What is the minimum distance between these markers? This option answers this question. I now want to create a grid for the buttock or the waterline. I will create a grid in the section's direction only. I also lowered the tolerance value a little. I'm writing 0.005. And OK. The grid is currently added on the design. So, how can we understand this? Let's get to the body plan view. I can now see the grids in the top view in this window. Each of these lines here is a grid. What will this grid do? It will help MakeSurf identify the body. I'm coming to the display part. If you select markers and markers for current station, only the markers in the alignment you have selected are shown to you. You can change the alignment using the arrow keys, or you can click on the previous or next section with the mouse. I can display sections one by one in different views. Now I'll come to the perspective view. Display. I use the command markers and show all markers. All markers are displayed on the screen. I go to the Markers tab. If you use the Group Markers by Station command, we just added a design grid to the design grid section. This will assign sections at the locations of the grids. In other words, it will add these sections to the design grid section. Yes. Then let's enter the data and design grid option. Sections have been added here. Section 1 is at location -3600. I'm talking about the stone forward location. The next is -2400, -1200. How we can understand that sections have been reconstructed with the group markers by station command. Names were written before. It no longer writes. It has now reset the design grid part. Okay, I come to the markers tab again. The command sort markers within stations connects all markers from the top to bottom. Let's rotate it a little. Currently, the connection between the markers is not made correctly. Let's get to any station. It didn't go from top to bottom as it should have. In fact, it doesn't even look like a section right now. To generate a surface with these markers, first of all, these markers must be connected to each other properly, that is, in order. In the Markers tab, the command sort markers within station connects these markers from top to bottom. All markers were linked together. And back to the markers tab. Reorder selected markers. You can select markers in a different order. Let's select this marker first. Then let's select this marker and select this marker. Now, if we use markers and reorder selected markers command, we'll sort all markers in order of selection. As a result, it ranked the markers in order of selection. This is how it made the connection. I come to the markers tab. Selecting the sort markers within station command again will clear the disorder. I come to the markers tab again. The resort selected markers command will connect the markers you have selected to each other in the opposite way. To show, I choose a section as it is. Marker, resort selected marker. Now it connected this marker in the opposite way. Marker tab, reverse ordering current selected stations command sorts the markers with the slope opposite. If it is convex, this time it tries to make the concave. So it tries to do the sorting like this. That is its purpose. 4 commands shown in the markers tab. It used to properly create connections between markers. You can also use here to edit the connections between markers. Snap control point to marker command. To use this command, you must select a control point and a marker. One surface, let's unlock with unlock command. And choose a control point. I choose marker and control point. Now, if you select markers and snap control point marker, it will move the control point to the marker location. I come back to the markers menu. Fit edge to markers command. To come back to the perspective view, I open the render view. I also open the edges. We call the edges we see in black as edge. If you want to move the outline of a surface, that is the outer edges that I point with the mouse, over a collection of markers, you should use the Fit Edge to Markers command in the Markers tab. I turned off the render view. Let's choose Edge. Next, let's select the markers. I selected the markers by pressing the Shift key. Then, when you use the markers and Fit Edges to Markers command, it moves the edge over the markers. It has not done a transport at this time. The reason for not doing it is, there is no appropriate number of control points or an appropriate surface stiffness to work with markers. What is the surface stiffness? Here were the surface stiffness value. That way, it won't be able to do this. But if there is a suitable number of control points and suitable surface stiffness, the command will work properly. Okay, I come to the Markers tab. Let's come to the Smooth Interior Controls command. Smooth Interior Controls command, especially when you generate a surface from markers, control points can be in ridiculous places. So, it's like having a control point here, or like it's here. Markers and Smooth Interior Controls command works to move control points to a suitable position, to appropriate locations in the appropriate order. It's a very functional command. It will surely work for you. In order for the command to work better, in the Markers section, the Generate Design Grid from Markers option must be used. The command will work better if you have used it. I come to the command Compact Markers point. This command moves the selected markers to location of the first selected marker. I choose one marker to start with. Then I choose 2 more markers. When you use it, these 2 markers will be moved to location of the marker I selected first. Having said that, I come to the fit surface to markers command. This command is a very comprehensive command. Purpose of the command: if you have markers and surface on the screen, by changing the position of the control points of the surface, the error between the marker and control points work to minimize it. Tens, hundreds, even hundreds of thousands of iterations run in the background. It is a very advanced optimization method. You want the surface to have a small number of control points and exact lines you want. The surface should be one piece, and the number of control points should be very smooth and consistent. That's why we call an optimized surface anyway. Fit surface to markers command tries thousands of iterations in the background to obtain the most perfect surface with the least number of control points. Moves control points, change in their location. Its purpose is to create a surface that you can call absolutely perfect. It just works for that. I want to start with the surface part. Markers that you mark as related appear in the surface section. We can link markers to the surface. I'll explain this inside the Markers tab. We can select the surfaces you link from here. Then we enter a time range at the bottom. It will try thousands of iterations in the background, but for how many hours should it run? Clock to the left. You must also enter the minute on the right. If you type 60 minutes, this iteration will try for an hour, and this works will continue for 1 hour. Before using the command, be sure to save your file, because once this process is started, it cannot be stopped until it's finished. So, it is not possible to cancel. You need to close the program directly. So, be sure to save it, then try using the command. To come to the boxes at the bottom, go to bottom concave and no tumble home options. Concave and convex. Unless you have a shaft tunnel or a special case, it would be best not to mark it. Because if there is a tunnel, there will be a concavity at the bottom of the boat, as I've shown with the mouse. If you don't want to make any optimization process regarding the concavity or convexity, in other words, if you don't want such an optimization process to be attempted in iterations, you should leave the boxes here marked. The log edges option at the bottom logs the edges. So, if you are satisfied with the location of the edges, you should mark this box. When you mark it, the location of the edges doesn't change. After setting the boxes, you select the surface you have specified as a link from the surface section. You enter the time range and you can start the optimization process with the Start Fit option. After the optimization process is completed, next to the RMS error title. With each marker, of all errors, squares, sum, square root between the selected surface is shown. This allows you to see an average error value. In the generations tested section, number of iterations tried during the run will be written. At the same time, after the optimization process is completed, another error value called mean error is displayed. This is an average error value. I'm not going to do optimization process because I'm teaching right now. But with the way I described, you can apply the optimization process on the bot. After the optimization process is completed, you can complete the process with Accept and Close option. I'm exit off here for now. After the process is completed, in the acceptable error section, the error value between the surface of each marker is shown. In this column, you can see all error values. I'm back to the perspective view. I come to the Markers tab and continue with the Generate Surface command. First of all, I want to log open surfaces. Then I turned off the edges as well. I'll pick a few of storm markers. I rotate a little. I choose the marker community. Markers and Generate Surface command is the command to generate surface from markers. When you choose the command under the Surface Net heading, how many rows you want to generate the surface, how many columns do you want to generate a surface, The degree of stiffness of the surface, is it the linear surface or a larger flexible surface, or it is a softer surface. You should specify the surface stiffness part in the form. It shows the maximum margin of error under the convergence limits title. So, how far can the surface be from the markers? You can set it here. I'll set it 10 mm for now. In fact, it will try to render the surface in different ways in the background. You can increase the number here depending on how many iterations you want to try. As it increases, the number of iterations increases, the time to execute the operation also increases. But as a result, your chances obtaining a more beautiful surface will also increase. If you come to the site, under the control point distribution heading, even spacing, if you want to create the control points of generated surface at equal intervals, you must mark the box here. A surface will be generated. But will the control point of this surface, namely the rows and columns, be evenly spaced? Or will the control points gather to the hulls for? So, will it be compressed into a narrower space? Will it be accommodated to spread out over the stern? Or will it be positioned equal to the endpoints of the aft and fore? Here you can specify the endpoints of the control points. I will use the even spacing option for now. At the bottom, under the constraints title, they are flat bottom and flat side boxes. These determine the concave and the convexity. If you don't have a tunnel, if there are no exceptions to the normal, it will be better if you leave the boxes here marked. It doesn't allow concave and convexity when you select. When you uncheck it, it will also allow concave and convexity. I want to leave the values here as they are and press the OK button. Error values between control points and markers of the newly created surface are displayed. Max error is the maximum distance between the marker and the control point. RMS error option, as we mentioned before, all errors between each marker and the selected surface returns the square root of the sum of their squares. It gives an average error value. Mean error, it shows an average error value. OK. The surface has been created. From the render view, we can see the surface here. Control points are very mass. We can edit this surface. When you use command markers and smooth interior controls, markers will be properly positioned. I'm closing the render box. Generate surface command is used to generate a surface from markers. Measure surface error command performs marker analysis according to the error between markers and surfaces. I mark the log option in the design folder. I delete the surface I just created. Markers. When you use the measure surface error command according to the distance between markers and the surface. All markers are analyzed and displayed in different colors. You can see the error values of the markers here. I come back to the markers menu. Markers properties command. I choose a marker. I click on marker properties command. The name of the marker, the station index value of the marker, and the coordinates of the marker are displayed. We do the link making process that we mentioned before under the link to the title. You must select the marker on which surface you want to link. After you have already selected, it is shown in which surface direction it is. This is a marker I choose in the bulb section. As a location, you choose the direction in which you want to link. From above, from below, or from the left, from the right. There are options. If we choose that option, you will decide in which direction do you want to link the surface. I want to link the marker to the surface, so that is just to the right of it. Then when you select the OK option, you will complete the link process. You have completed the marker step and its comments. See you in the next lesson.